Educators Network is a network of teachers in all levels, from pre-service teachers to post-secondary, and we work on issues of education and social justice, whether it be dealing with curriculum or policy. And I'd also like to thank the School of Education at UWM for helping sponsor the event. And now on to Kelly McMahon. She's a K-5 teacher in MPS, and she just wrote an article that came out in the last issue of Free Thinking Schools called Testing Kindergarten, and it goes through all the slew of testing that's facing even our youngest children. So I'll turn it over to Kelly. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. This is my 8th year teaching for Milwaukee Public Schools, and I have spent this is my 7th year teaching kindergarten, and it's been a very interesting, reflecting back on how I thought teaching would be and what teaching has actually been. It's very interesting. I remember leaving college and moving to Milwaukee and just think, oh, okay, I'm going to do all these fabulous things in my classroom. I started out teaching 3rd grade. I'm like, oh, we're going to have this teddy bear that's going to travel around the country, and we're going to keep track of where it's going. And but unfortunately, that really isn't really something that we get to do. When I moved out to kindergarten, thinking, oh, I'll have all these great art projects that I get to do, all the fun games, and just show and tell, all this wonderful stuff. But having grade level meetings to plan, activities that we're going to do together and lesson plans. But again, it hasn't really been like that. During my time, our grade level meetings, when we've had them, a lot of times it has been focused on, okay, well, let's look at our assessments, which assessments, revamping them, figuring out which ones we want to do. My first year started there, it seemed teaching it was like the CABs, the classroom-based assessments and standards, were finally rolling out, and you're supposed to do one and whatever, and apparently our principal at the time just went to a whole nother level, and we were told we were supposed to do 4 assessments for every chapter that we were completing. So one of those was supposed to be a final post-test, and then then 3 in between to monitor the kids' progress. And so that was at 3rd grade, and I didn't realize it was also being implemented at kindergarten until I went down to kindergarten the following year. And I also thought, this must be something district-wide. I didn't think, oh, this is just my school. So when going down to kindergarten, we had to, because a lot of the series that you purchase for the schools, they don't come with assessments. So we were having to create our own classroom-based assessments on the CABs, as well as using your On the Mark to confirm their reading, to verify their reading levels and monitor their progress as readers, and then also the writing prompts that we were doing monthly for them to make sure that their writing was developing and monitoring that. And again, it was 4 CABs per unit, per subject. And so a lot of our planning is okay, well, let's see, I need to get this CAB in here so that way. So it was every week, and almost every day of every week, my kids were taking some type of classroom-based assessment to monitor their progress in one of the various subject areas. The art projects that I was hoping to do with them, now I have to, I feel as if I always have to find some thread for them to align with the CABs or the targets and standards for reading or for math in order to quantify, order for me to say, oh yeah, they should be doing this work because, well, it's working on this, target. But yeah, so when I was asked to, write about my experiences doing all the testing that I'm doing and all the things that are happening with my kindergartners, with whether it's rest time or play, having one recess a day, I couldn't believe that for 5-year-olds, and that's still what we have at my school. I never really counted the number of assessments I was giving my students just with these CABs, and looking at the list, I mean, it's over 60 assessments, whether it was a classroom assessments based on standards or if it was the MPS optional kindergarten assessment that I do 3 times a year, the On the Mark 3 times a year, the monthly writing prompts, and then we were doing monthly math prompts or probes as well at the K-5 level. It even started out with the 4-year-olds having to do it, but fortunately that's been backed off. And now we're doing the reading SPS portfolios, the writing SPS portfolios, the math SPS portfolios, and just driving to school today, I'm like, okay, I need to start introducing the vocabulary for the second semester for the reading SPS. I'm like, okay, how would I draw a picture that would help me know, okay, this is a picture that's going to explain what I believe the word poetry is. I'm thinking that my level, how would I draw a picture of that? And then I'm thinking, how are my 5-year-olds going to draw a picture that when they see this picture, it means poetry? And just the other words, like Venn diagram. I'm like, is it more important that they know how to compare and contrast, whether it's using a graphic organizer or verbally? Or is it more important that they're actually able to do that verbally? And same thing with the term describe. I'm like, how do you ask a 5-year-old to draw a picture so that way they know that this means describe, and what exactly are they describing? I mean, the word selection, it's just unbelievable. So it's just, teaching hasn't been what I thought it would be. It's those little in-betweens where, you have a little amount of time to allow yourself to use your creativity, and whether it might be a total of 50 minutes for the day, spread throughout the day. I mean, that's the only thing that actually keeps you going, because everything else is just bombardment of data. It's like, well, what about my child who is improving his ability to interact with his peers in more positive ways, and is actually finally making friends because they've learned, oh, I shouldn't be using my hands when I'm playing with them. I shouldn't be all rough and stuff, or calling them names. What kind of recognition are we giving our child? How are we measuring our students on that? And that's really, so important with our kids when they're not playing with each other at home and playing games at home. They're playing video games and they're not outside and interacting with each other. And it's, our kids are lacking in those social emotional skills. So it's very, very sad what kindergarten is. And I've seen it now being pushed down onto our 4-year-old kindergartners, being told, our school created SPSs for our 4-year-olds, and so they did this assessment for the semester where they were asked to break words down into individual phonemes but not rhyming, and they are supposed to do Marzano's somehow as well, and it's just, these are 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. They still have one recess a day. It's very sad, and I'm glad that I know so many educators in the district that, are wanting to push back on this, because we do need to push back on it. Because it's not the same for every school, but it's whatever guidelines are taken from the district and how much they want to tweak it and put into a school. And some of the stuff, these ideas are just getting warped, and it's so inappropriate for our children, and we're not allowing them to be successful, and they feel like failures. The number of times I've had kids break down doing assessments, the number of times I have them just tell me, I can't do this, and the behavioral problems that arise when you're trying to assess. It's really, really sad, and we're not allowing them the time to play. 30 minutes of time for our 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds is really not enough time for them to have to make those decisions, how to interact with their peers, whether it's in a selected activity or self-selected, or they're told where to go to play. It's just not enough time, and they need that. And so hopefully we can change what's happening.